How you doing out there, folks? This is another sequel to The Invisible Man versus Merrick Bank and the Robot. This is part 15. So in case you didn't see all the other parts, well, I'm going to fill you in here. First of all, it's all about harassing phone calls. And that's the main issue that I have. I figured doing so many videos, well, the reason I'm doing them is because it covers a lot of things. Okay, Merrick Bank using unethical tactics by doing those harassing phone calls. Then I have a lawyer, a consumer advocate attorney, which has given me a chance to endorse him and give testimonials here so you can get a good lawyer. And the third part of this, why I'm doing all this, is because it's about my wife. This whole thing occurred when she wasn't feeling too good, and it's like leaving some documentation. The last days that I was with Marie, it covers it in this sequel, as you might call it, or scenario. Okay, here, since I mentioned that now, okay, we'll go back to 2018. I got the mail as usual. There was a form in there, a letter. I wasn't sure what it was. I handed to Maria, said, "You want to look at that?" She said, okay. She wasn't too, neither one of us was enthusiastic at this time, in our lives. I got all these bills piling up, the same routine, that I do. We combine our money and I pay the bills. So she looked it over and she says, "Oh, boy, Frankie. I said, "What is it, Marie?" She says, "Oh, Merrick Bank wants to give me $600. I said, "Oh, good." She said, "But I never even heard of Merrick Bank." I said, "Well, probably most people haven't." So she said something about the double the credit line. She didn't understand it, So she said, "Would you look it over?" And I did. Now, I looked it over, and I remember now, because I just looked in a file that I have, that I read it all. It didn't say anything in that offer about making calls. It didn't say nothing about it. There was a little form there to fill in, to send in, but I told Marie better to do it by computer, Didn't say nothing there in that mailer. Okay, so got the computer, Marie filled it all in, made me the authorized user, and if something came up, and I read it to her, the fine print, about allowing them to call you on the cell phone with an auto dollar and leave text messages and all that. It just said for permission, or you're giving them permission by submitting the application. I told Marie, she didn't really care. She said, "I want the credit, I don't care." "You're going to have to pay 7 payments, right?" I said, "Yeah." So I don't know if she wasn't going to be worried about the call. So I said, okay. She wanted the credit, and I told her the whole thing. After those 7 payments, you'll get another $600. And she was happy with that and all. So I went through everything with her. She hit submit. And since I'm using the computer, they have my email address because it was, on the computer when she submitted the application. Okay, so I checked the email right away. "Congratulations, you've been approved with a double the credit line offer. And after 7 on-time payments, you will get a credit line increase of $600. And your card should arrive in 7 to 10 business days." And that was an email that I got. Something like it, not exactly. Okay, so I went over with Marie everything, and I said, "Okay, do you understand all this?" And she said, "Yeah. I know you haven't ordered anything lately over the phone. I got these high pressure salespeople. They just want to make sales. They'll talk you into anything. You call up, you get what you wanted. Don't get anything else. Don't sign up for no monthly payments. Just say you want to do a one-time payment. Don't give your personal information, name you can give. No social security or date of birth. None of that. You don't need to give that." She said, "It's on the credit card." I said, "Yeah, that's why you don't have to give it. They don't need that." Okay, so you just give the card number You give the expiration date and the security code on the back. So I went over this a lot, because I said once the cards come, she's going to be so excited. So yeah, everything went good for a while. I went over that a few times with her about that. And then all of a sudden the mail came. I knew right away. You know, in the mailer you could tell there's 2 cards. Okay, so I gave it to her. Look, Marie. Oh, Frankie. She knew what it was. Of course, she's expecting that. I said, yeah, it's about a week. She said, open it up. And she said, oh, the cards are beautiful. Because she ordered an eagle with the flag, you know, in the background. It was a nice design. So she said, Frankie, here's your card. And I got mine. She said, what do we do now? I said, what we do now is we should sign them. Just so that's important. So then she said, what now? I said, I have to call it in. You could do it. She said, no, I don't want to do it. I don't know what to do. I called in and gave all the information. And then it's a recording. And it says, all the cards associated with this counter are now activated. All done. I said, Marie, you can use it. Now I asked her again, do you remember all the things? She said, oh, yeah. Well, I know you're going to remember because you want to order. She says, oh, yeah, I don't give out my name. Well, yeah, well, I give out my name, but not Social Security or date of birth, right? Nothing else. You just give that card number and the expiration date and the number, security code on the back. She said, I know, I got it. And then I said, if you do order anything, just write it down and let me know. Because I might be out or something, not paying attention, you know, so order so I can keep track of the orders. Then we started ordering, both of us. I was paying bills. You know, a lot of the other accounts have transfer, and even though there's no balance transfer, I am doing that. I thought they were charging for that, but they weren't. I've been checking over everything now, you know, a little bit more. So I checked everything again, because when the cards came, see, I already had a file folder I made up, you know, when the offer came. So I had the file ready, so I stuck that mailer in there. But there was I think it was 6-page, you know, I guess you could call disclosures, and I was just reading it. And I just was reading it now. I was going to try to read it on the video here, but it's going to be kind of difficult. Because it's such a fine print, and plus with these sunglasses on. Because I was reading about allowing them to contact you. It says all about the auto dollar and everything, and the text messages and email and everything, to give them permission to contact you about your account. So when you sign that card, and when you use the credit, you're giving them permission. And it does say something about they have a provider to do that. So I still say that's not right. The provider's supposed to send you a form or something for you to okay for them to make calls, you know, from Merrick Bank to you, but I don't know about that. So I'm reading a lot more, and it mentions about an attorney and everything. So, because they were calling in November when I stopped paying, November of 2019, and I got all those calls. And I contacted the lawyer, he stopped it. Now, I have an attorney, it says that. That's one of the paragraphs about an attorney. And it does say, if you have an attorney, you have to notify us of his name, address, and everything. I didn't have to, because I'm the one that got him for this account. And he contacted them, and I know, because he sent me copies of the litigation. You know, it's all official, so I know that. And I kept, you know, the call. Remember I said he stopped the calls. And then after that, it started up about a month and a half later. Remember I mentioned that? I've been mentioning that, and I haven't figured it out. But I said he must know about it. Because he had told me he contacts them every couple of weeks to see if they come to any agreement with anything, you know. So he already told me that. Because when the call started up January 2nd, 2020, and I started getting those calls, but not on the, how come not on the cell phone? Why is that? So it has something to do, they must have known about they already did a violation. So okay, back to it again, all them calls. I contacted them. The first thing, I waited a couple of weeks, you know, in January. And I started to badmouth Merrick Bank then. So I contacted him, and he sent me a note back saying he'll reach out to them. So he must have known what it's about. If he knows they do unethical tactics, So all of a sudden, it still kept going. I said, it's funny. Stopped it right away before when they were calling on both numbers, and now this one number, the landline, they're not stopping. So I contacted him again, and he said, we'll make him stop. And that's when I found out about that he contacts them every 2 weeks. But now it says in this agreement, right, they came with the credit cards. I was just looking it over. It says if you have an attorney, he's supposed to contact them. If he doesn't contact them within 45 days, then they'll start up again, trying to contact you again. Now, I said a month and a half. Remember, in all these videos I've been making, this is the 15th one. With the Invisible Man. I've made more than that, but this is the 15th one with the Invisible Man. So I was checking. I think it was the 18th of November. 18, and there's 30 days in November. So that's 12 days, right? And then in December, there's 31 days. That's 43, right? Well, you got January 1st is 44, and January 2nd is 45. Now I finally figured it out, why they start calling me a month and a half later. What, are they using another tactics? Unethical tactics again? Because it says that in there, so what's it programmed to do that? Even though the lawyer contacted them, because he had to contact them, because litigation. Maybe he doesn't have to contact them within 45 days because of the litigation. There's something there. I'll probably, he's going to get these videos that I'm doing anyway. So I'm going to mention to the lawyer about this, because there's the month and a half. They started up again. And I thought it was like a retaliation because I have the litigation. But it says it in the disclosure that comes with the credit cards. Oh, there's more than that. I was just reading. I was going to try to read it off of the papers, but like I said, it's the fine print and it's going to be hard. So I didn't do it, but that's what it says. That after 45 days, that means they can start calling you again. Or trying to contact you, or whatever you want to call it. See that? Now that's either another unethical practice, knowing that they can't do nothing about it. Because see, it's in the disclosure about that 45 days. I know it's exactly 45. I counted it. Because I kept saying month and a half. I was trying to figure what it was, but I figured lawyer must know about it. I mean, he's dealing with Merrick Bank, and he knows they're doing unethical tactics, so it can't be something that he don't know. He wouldn't tell me he's going to make him stop and all that. So the case is still on as far as I know. So maybe that's going to be their, defense? That they called in January, made over 80 calls in January, it was all right. But what are they going to say? The lawyer didn't contact them in 45 days? That's why they started that again? Yeah, it is, because I figured it out. Now I know what that was. That's one of the things that was really bothering me, but it doesn't make it right, because they did that. Now they stopped again. So now what? Another 45 days? If the lawyer contacted them, I know that. He told me he contacts them every 2 weeks. They're in California, they're where he is. So that seems, I think I finally got the idea with that. But again, those calls. It is in the, like I said, it's in that disclosure that they send you. It's a whole bunch of stuff in there. But that's after you got the credit cards. They send it that, with the credit cards. So that you have to abide by that? I mean, the way they say it, with all those stipulations and all, that you're giving them permission. So what? Marie gave them permission after 45 days, if you have a lawyer, that they can start that up again? That means 45 days, that means you could have been, they could have been calling for 45 days. Because that 45 days, it stopped, right? Well, if there was no attorney and they started it up again, they could be calling more than that. But now they call for the whole month of January. How come they stopped again? They should have said once the 45 days and we start again with the same lawyer. It wasn't like I got another attorney. Yeah, these are the things that I've been going over. That's why you wonder if they're making now this the 15th video, with this Invisible Man versus Merrick Bank and the robot. Yeah, I really I like doing it like this because I feel comfortable, you know. I'm not hiding from nothing. I've got plenty of videos with me without this disguise. It's just that I feel, you know, good about it because they really, like I said, I'm invisible. They're invisible. Because if they're making all those calls, you don't see them, do you? I don't see them. You don't even hear them. They don't leave a message. But in that disclosure, it does mention about those calls. It says you're supposed to answer them if they call you, but there nobody's on the other end. It does mention that in there. But they're not doing that. They're not leaving messages. You're supposed to have it set up so that they can leave you a message, like I have it that way. But they weren't leaving no messages. There were all those calls. Over 40 calls, no more than over 60 calls in November of 2019, and over 80 in January 2020. So that's all right? No, it's not all right. Because I have a lawyer and all. I mean, that's the whole point of it. They can't say was no attorney because he contacted them. That's why the call stopped in the first time. Now, I know the case is pending. It doesn't get resolved. It's just another way to delay it, I think, too. It's another way that they're doing. Unethical tactics. They have all these loopholes and all this stuff set up, but they also have, you know what else they have in this disclosure? All about class action lawsuits and everything. I don't want to go into it. About the legal fees and everything else, you know. So how come they have that? They must be having litigation against them or they wouldn't be having all that. Because, you know, it is a big business, you know. I know that. There's a lot of accounts, you know. Now, that's like, when you think about it, if they have over, what, 1 million customers? We know out of 1 million customers, now you really don't think there's only going to be a couple late. That's all over the country, right? They have these customers. I don't even want to think, out of 1 million, how many customers could be late on the late list? I don't know, thousands, I guess. Because I had a small businesses I was running, you know. Some of my jobs I had, right? I managed a video store for like 20 years, I guess, altogether. And, you know, we had accounts. This is back in the day, before all this computers and all that. And say, it's a mom and pop video store. It's in a neighborhood, I don't know, maybe we had 500 customers, I don't know. But again, if they were late, we still sent it to collection. But I didn't call them like that. I mean, there was people that didn't return the movies, and they owed money. Because, you know, the late fee was exactly whatever the charge was for the rental. If someone had 2 movies, that would be $6. Because they have to pay and return. So if they kept it a week, you figure that out. Now that's in the $40 bracket. So we had a company that did it. Gave them all the information. I would try to contact them myself, leave a message, say, look, at least bring the movies back. You know, if you still can't pay, your account, you won't be able to rent. So I had this same thing with late. The lateness thing. But I didn't call people and harass them on the phone. First of all, I was talking to the people. I might leave a message, but I wasn't using an auto dollar or anything. I'll tell them, look, bring the movies back. We want the movies. You have new releases. I can be renting them. You know, it's a small business. We depend on all that. We had a company. We would send it out, the list, and then they would try to collect it. And these were small amounts. We're talking $40, $50, and maybe if we had the movies on, a little bit more. But I said I had experience with this, but on a much smaller scale than them. So I know something about that even though, like a lot of the customers that came in the video store, they said, you mean you sent it to collection for small amounts of money, 30, 40? I said, well, yeah, we have to. I'm not going to let you come in and say, I can rent movies there and don't pay. So we had to do it. Had no choice. I mean, people would bring movies back, and they said, can I pay you, later? And I said, well, you can't rent. It might be $20, $30, But at least I got the movies back. And if they were the new movies, it was still worth it. We paid $70 for them movies back in the day. That's when the business was doing pretty good then. So now I'm just mentioning that because we took credit. I'm pretty sure we did. So we would take an imprint. But we didn't charge a credit card. We did it for identification purposes, you know. But other companies, but speaking of unethical, you know, the bigger video stores, they were like, you prepaid for maybe 3 days or 5 days. So they got all that money up front, and they had your credit card on file, and if you were late, they would charge a credit card. I don't think they sent it to collection. I think that was something that they got in trouble for. Those big video stores. I don't even want to mention the name. But that was unethical. We were ethical, because I made sure of that. I would call the people and I would just leave a message and I would tell them if they happen to come in, you know, they had the movies, and they would come back and couldn't pay, I would make a deal with them. But it wasn't too much. It was only a little bit, because every day I would run a late list. There was maybe 4 or 5 people. Not that much. Then after it got so many days late, maybe a couple of weeks, I would send it to the collection. They collected some of it. So I'm just using that as example again. About just trying to collect this money. That's what they're doing. And they got it set up. I mean, when you read that's a disclosure they sent with the credit card. So I have a file folder. I put all that in it. And then every month with a statement, I put it in there. Oh, they're charging for the authorized user fee. That's another add-on fee. Then the membership fee, that was $600, right? When they took off the membership fee, you only even have, now, almost $100 was gone already. Between the membership fee and between the authorized user fee, and then there's going to be finance fees. No wonder. Already, they gave the money, it's already used up before you even got anything. And that's the add-on charges. And the late fee. They sent a notice, it says about the late fee. It's in there. It was $38 then. Now it's $39. That's also in there. You know, that disclosure. You have to know that, huh? And that late fee? It's another thing about that late fee. So your bill is due on the 15th of the month, right? Say you were paying by check. And they get on the 16th, you're paying $39 now. And then the bill closes on the 22nd, so that means you get the statement and you look at the bill. You may not owe any more money. Your minimum payment went in. Only way you would owe more money, if that late fee puts you over the limit, then you would have to pay that. Say your credit was used up. Who wants to use up the credit with a late fee? They already have enough add-on charges. But see how that's unethical? I mean, they're not the only ones to do that. I know years ago, when your bill was due on the 15th, it got there on the 20th, it still wasn't late. Now, if the closing date was the 22nd and you got your payment there on the 23rd, well, then you got the late fee tacked on. I want to mention that because I don't think I covered that too much, but that's another thing you got to watch out for. So back to these harassing calls. Now, I know this lawyer is contacting them, I'm pretty sure. He knows all about this. He's got my file and everything over there. And like all the stuff that I was reading, he knows all about that because he didn't ask me for anything like that. You know, any statements or any disclosure. He knows what they do. He knows about it. So he's got to know about that 45-day rule. Because if he knows that they start calling me again after 45 days. Now, he's not going to not contact them. If he told me every 2 weeks he contacts them, well, I believe it. I have no doubt because I know the litigation's in. He wouldn't have done all that. And he's already dealt with Merrick Bank. I wonder how many times over the years. So he knows what they do. That's another one of the tactics. It's like maybe it's a delay tactics. They figure they can also, like if you have a lawyer and there is litigation, maybe they're not, it doesn't say anything about the litigation in a sense. It says if you're supposed to let Merrick Bank know the name, address, phone number of your lawyer, you know. So if you do that, then I guess they won't call you. But if the lawyer doesn't contact them, within 45 days, then they're going to start contacting you again. So I think here it's a technicality. Maybe it's a loophole. Maybe they weren't going to call. Maybe they were. Maybe he knew that because he knew that they're going to try to do something to delay it anyway. What do they think? By calling me again like that for another whole month? What am I going to do? And call a lawyer and say, look, I want to close my file. Stop it. Drop it. Think I'm going to do that? I don't care if they call me 10 times a day. And I don't care if they call me for a whole year. I'm not going to drop it. Because I could stand it anyway if I have to. Because I know what they're doing. It's not like I don't know. I don't like it. It's annoying. I wouldn't be doing all this. If they wouldn't have done what they did, I wouldn't be doing this. I still say, I repeated it so many times. You know, over all these videos, you figure I got to repeat something. You know, this is part 15. But just the fact that if they would have had somebody, maybe the first month, it was late. Once they put the first late fee, I think that should have been sent to a special department and have somebody call, leave a message, or maybe I would have picked it up, and if I'd have told them a situation that Maria passed away and they know they can't collect that account, so maybe they wouldn't even have started those calls. If they wouldn't have started the calls, then I wouldn't have been doing this. The lawyer wouldn't have litigation in, and there wouldn't have been no calls in January either. That could have stopped it all. But no, they didn't do it that way. They got it all set up. That's it. They have too many accounts, and too many late, I guess, that they couldn't hire enough people to make the calls, huh? Is that what it is? They figured it'll cost them more than the money that's owed. Maybe it is. Maybe they have it all. They probably have it all figured out like that. I don't know. I'm doing this part, like I said before. It's against Merrick Bank. Because I don't like these unethical tactics. This lawyer definitely knows about it. That's why I'm glad I have him. I'm glad I have him because he definitely dealt with Merrick Bank. And litigation is in and all. And he's helped me with all these other accounts that I had. So I know that he's very good. I'm going to tell you about this lawyer. He's a consumer advocate attorney. And I don't think I could get a better lawyer anywhere than him. Because he cares, you know, about the consumer. And he doesn't like these banks to do these unethical tactics. He wants to make them, you know, own up to it, you know. And that's what he does. Of course, now, he doesn't charge you for his services, for the consultation, none of that. And if he does get you money, he doesn't take a percentage. And you're under no obligation, you know, to avail yourself of his services. That's up to you. Be glad if he would take your case. Be glad. Because like I said plenty of times, you know, I endorse him. And I give testimonials like I do, you know, in all my videos because I appreciate so much what he did to help me. I know I wouldn't have been doing as good as I am now if he didn't help me. So I just want everybody out there to know that. So if you think that you can't do anything, you're wrong. Because every situation is different. Like I said, if Marie wouldn't have passed away, well, I would have still been paying. You know what that means? No more calls either way. There wouldn't have been. I'd have still keep paying all the bills like I was. Everything would have been the same. Of course, when she passed away, she went into the nursing home. So then our combined money, some of that went towards her patient responsibility to the nursing home. So say combined it was $1,600. Then some of that money went towards the nursing home. And then Medicaid paid the rest. So okay, so once she went in the nursing home, I only had I guess $1,200 to work with. So I had to see what I'm doing there. It's like a community spouse allowance. Yeah, that's what that was. But when Marie passes away, now I only have nothing. I don't have only my income. So it went from $1,600 to $800 now. So how am I going to pay those bills? That's why I needed that lawyer to come in and really help me, and that's what he did. He knew the situation and all. I really wonder how this is going to play out now. This started in, let's see, you got November, you got to December is 1 month, December to January, 2 months, and now January to February is more than 3 months since all this stuff started. And I want to see what's going to happen now. Because with all this that took place, right, with this, them calling me after 45 days. Huh? See, I didn't say 45 days. I said a month and a half, but I keep going over all the things to see, and I start reading that. I didn't read all that. Because I knew we were going to pay and everything. I didn't know Marie was going to pass away. So, that's what happened. So now I'm in a predicament. I'm all by myself, you know. No family or nothing. So I do have time to do this, you know. That's what I say. If if you're having problems, say you're working, you're having all kind of problems, you don't need to have that phone ringing to annoy you. And you can't tell me it's not, you know. Let's see, like I say, I always allude to things. Now go back again. 2019, when they start calling in November. Now that, they don't know they were calling me or Marie, but it does say in that disclosure they have that whoever picks it up, it doesn't seem to matter. To what they say, when that rings, they don't know who's going to pick it up. The way they word the stuff, it's like in legal terms, so the lawyer knows all of that. Like they're trying to say, it's not directed to any one person, but I know there's something, everything that they do, I question it because I know it's unethical. Even all the stuff that they put there. They say it, they mention the law. Oh yeah. They mention in that disclosure that the law says about the lawyer, that he's supposed to contact them within 45 days, and if he doesn't, they're going to start continuing to, contact the cardholder. So this whole thing is, it's got me, it got me upset mostly because of that. But again, see, I found out. They have it in there. I call it the 45-day rule, huh? It was exactly 45 days. They have it worked into the account, probably. Once the lawyer information went in, so that probably triggered it after 45 days, it triggered the call. But why didn't it trigger the cell phone? See? They're admitting guilt. So it says on there they're allowed to call, so why didn't they call on it? Why? Why aren't they calling the cell phone then? So they must know about the litigation, and they don't want to have that on there, because in case they have to, pay out for the other calls, they don't want to have any more, huh? I don't know what's going to actually happen. It's up to the lawyer, like I said. That's why you have to have an attorney, because he knows what to do, When a situation, he knows how to defend you, All right. So again, I'll give you his name and phone number. His name is Paul Mankin, Mankin. It's a toll-free number, 800-219-3577. 800-219-3577. I'm going to have this in the description, like I always say, the description. I'm going to pretty soon, I'm only putting too much in the description because I'm talking so much here. But you can read the description, while listening to the video. I hope everybody appreciates what I'm trying to do. I'm going to try to keep this going as much as I can. I have other videos, about this. Because I looked up harassing phone calls, on YouTube. If you look it up, I guess you know what you're going to find. You're going to find mine. But they're not going to be in order. What they do is they, spread them out, in there. Why? Because they figure people look at different spots. There's so many. They wouldn't want to have mine in one spot. Now, if you look up my name, they still do that with my videos. They work in other videos, but mine, similar things, And I know the videos are going to stay on there for a while. Like when I do these videos, since I'm endorsing this attorney, it's going to be on there. Even if I stop making these videos, it's still going to be on YouTube. Unless I delete it, which I probably won't. It depends. Because my lawyer knows. I told him before, because if you don't want me to do this, you don't think it's a good idea, well, just tell me and I'll stop. But he hasn't done that, so I guess, I am promoting him, so, he figures there's no harm done. And he already has his website and all that stuff. It's already on the internet. So this is making it, make more people aware of that. I think the biggest thing that people don't understand out there is it costs for an attorney for mostly everything. A lot of them say they do it on a contingent basis. Like if you have a case and they say it's for a nursing home, I'll mention that, nursing home abuse or something, and they take it. If they win the case, then they take out all their fees and all, then you pay them. But if you don't, then you don't have to pay nothing either. So that's another issue with those lawyers. I call them the TV lawyers, See, they've given the nursing homes a bad rap, which they deserve it, I think, because I experienced a lot of things, at the nursing home where Marie was. So I believe all that. Now back to this again. If you are having any calls, it doesn't have to be Merrick Bank, but if it's Merrick Bank, and I know out there somewhere, somebody that's viewing this or listening to me may be getting these calls. And I know what they are because I've experienced them, Recently now, this is, in November of 2019 and now in January of 2020. Now I went through it all. I don't like it. And if you don't like it, then you should do something. Because there's no use to keep putting up with it. Keep putting up with that. You don't have to. But a phone log's very important. I think I mentioned it in a couple of my videos. I actually put a sample, of the phone log. It seems like it's simple enough. But you'd be surprised how important that is. Because that's your whole case. You want to have that information. So the lawyer, you contact the lawyer because you're gonna have it off the statement, the bank, but he has all that. If it's Merrick Bank, he's already dealt with them. He has all that information. You could just put Merrick Bank, but you need the date, the day, the time, the number they use to call you, and any comment, anybody you talk to. You need to have that. Have all that information, and then if you contact the lawyer, you can email it to him. So it doesn't matter that he's in San Diego and I'm in Philadelphia. It has nothing to do with it because the laws apply everywhere for this, the laws, the legislation for this. It applies to all debt collectors and creditors. So you don't have to worry about him if you're not in the same state. Actually, he's in San Diego, so he's contacted their offices in California. They're the lawyers. So he told me all that, so I know that this case is up there. Another thing about this case, he has all this litigation, so I don't think that he wouldn't contact them within 45 days. When he told me he contacts them every 2 weeks. So if that's the reason they call, because it does fit, the 45-day rule. Okay, so also in the litigation, I'm the plaintiff, and Merrick Bank is the defendant, and he explains the whole scenario there. He puts down some of the calls, that were kind of close together. Not all, it's an example, That's on there, and he says that I allege that they're contacting me about somebody else's bill. It's not in my name. But that's something else. Now, if you say, well, what are they going to say? Well, they didn't know that. What do you mean they don't know it? Marie's, the account's in her name, she's the card holder, and I'm an authorized user, and I'm on the account, and 2 different names. So if they don't check that, or they don't have a cross-reference, that's their problem. Then they ought to change it then. Like I said, if they'd have made the phone call, a couple phone calls, with a live representative, they could have found out all that. I would have told them right away. They tried to say, why didn't I tell them she was deceased? First of all, I got a lawyer. Secondly, I was paying it. And then I had gotten an attorney when I couldn't pay. Regardless, I know I'm not going to be held responsible for it anyway. And it's in Marie's name, and she passed away. And the authorized user can't really be held responsible. Like I keep saying it, It's like a broken record. I'm not a joint card holder. I'm not a co-signer. I'm an authorized user. We're not legally married. We lived together as man and wife for over 40 years, but we're not legally married. So that's definite. And I don't have any family, and she doesn't. There's no estate or nothing, so I don't know what they're going to do. All this over this account? It's up to almost $1,500 now. I just got another statement today. And why is that? I'm not using it. Late fees. See it? See, what I do with now, when I was paying all the bills, I paid them over the phone. So if that bill was due on the 15th, I paid it. They got all that on file, whatever however you paid, and then you just do it. It's easy. And I can't get a late fee then. So I was worried all about that anyway. So I'm aware of all that. But the calls, my God. Those calls is just too much. It's like I said, it's a way they do it, That's why if there's a law that says they're not supposed to contact you unless they get permission. So what do they do? Oh, we'll get permission, that's all. Oh yeah? Get permission, huh? And even though you gave permission, you still kept paying them. But if you said you didn't want them to call you, then they have to stop? Well, they did, because of the lawyer. It does say all about that in that disclosure. So if you do get any pre-approved offers from Merrick Bank or any bank, make sure you read all that stuff. Because I don't know how far they're going to go with this. I don't know how long this is going to take. I just want to get it resolved one way or another. No more calls. And I hope the lawyer could get paid for his work. And his fees are supposed to pay him. Keep that in mind. You don't have to pay nothing. This attorney. Because there's attorneys I know that do credit cards, But they do charge you. Maybe if they get you money, they might. I don't know. There's probably a lot of different ways that they do it, but he's a consumer advocate attorney. So as soon as you know that, you know he's not going to do that. Put it this way, he's transparent, and Merrick Bank is not. Because any business or anything that uses those tactics they use, they're unethical, they're not transparent. Now I know this lawyer that I have, he is transparent, because he's helping the consumer. He's an advocate for us. So you already know that. And plus he's been in business quite a while. He's got a good staff there. I've talked to different people there. Very good people working for him. He runs a good business, and he does other things, for consumers, but it might not apply, to the situation, because if you don't live around in the area where he is, it might not be able to help you. But with the credit cards, he can. So just keep all this down. Think about it. If you really are having problems, it's not going to go away that easy. Do you see how they're calling? They started this in November, and now it's all the way into February coming to an end, and they're still liable to start calling. What? I know he's contacted them, because he said he was going to make them stop. And he said he contacts them every 2 weeks. So now, what happens now? Let's see, it stopped at the end of January. So it means February is 4 weeks. So what about in the middle of, January, these calls are going to, not January, in the middle of March, calls going to start again? I hope not, but if it does, I think it's going to be all against them. I don't know how far they're going to go with this. They're liable to do anything if they're unethical. But right now, I'm trying to get myself together. It's nice and quiet in here now. I think a couple times I was doing these recordings, and the phone rang. But it wasn't Merrick Bank. It was some telemarketer or something, I knew who it was. They did the same thing. Answer machine picks it up, they leave no message or nothing. Same tactic. The scams and all that. With them robocalls. But I did this now at a different time of day. It's quiet in here. I don't care if the phone rings, but I know at this time of day I'm doing this, it's not going to. Remember, they're not supposed to call you before 8 a.m. or after 9 p.m. And that's what they do. They abide by that. Well, I know years ago, I'd say over 30 years ago, I had credit cards, not much. And I couldn't pay. I was late or something. I don't think I was even a week late. I got a woman call me 7:30 in the morning and give me a whole bunch of stuff on the phone. Oh, you better pay, or we're going to come after you, or We gave you the money, you used it, now you have to pay. You have money for everything else. Why can't you pay us? And I just hung up on her. The harassment, that's when the people were calling you then. That's when these laws came into effect, with everybody having cell phones and all. Because I know that it's different, you know. If you have both, I don't think many people have the landline like they did before. I know I have both. Both phones are in my name, of course. Because on the cell phone, the Merrick Bank call you on the cell phone with the auto dial or whatever, you know the number's going to come up. If it's an 800 number, that's all that might come up. But if it's another number, it might come up, you know, Pennsylvania or New York or something like that. But if you want to, you probably know. Anybody with a cell phone probably knows. You go in the contact. If you know it's Merrick Bank, you just put Merrick Bank. You know, you already have the number. And then the next time they call the number, it's going to come up on your cell phone. See, I knew it because on the landline, they use the same numbers to call me on the cell phone. So, when they call me, I went ahead and I saw the number on the cell phone and I put Merrick Bank. So after about a week or so, when they called, I knew it was Merrick Bank. So I wrote it down in the phone log. I have one phone log for the cell phone and I have one phone log for the landline. If you have more than one bank, you should have a separate sheet for each bank because you're going to get confused. Because you're going to need that for the lawyer, I'm telling you. Because without those, he has to see the sequence of those calls. Because that phone log tells you a lot. It tells you when they're calling you, how close together the calls are. It also shows that the days too, you know. Like they were calling me in January, mostly in the afternoon and evening, not in the morning. They didn't call on Sunday either. That shows you they can control that. When they called me in November of 2019, they did call on Sunday. They called me 7 times in one day. I think it was 2 times on the cell phone, and I think it was 5 times on the landline. So these calls, you know, that's why it's important to have that phone log. See how I know all that? Because of the phone log. So in January when they started, and, you know, once it's in the system, that phone number, the calls start coming. But in January, mostly all the calls were in the afternoon and evening. I think they only called one time. The earliest they called was 11:30 in the morning. Then they didn't call all day, and then they called at 7, 8, 8:30, something like that. Still 4 calls. But no calls on Sunday. Why is that? Is that just by chance? I don't think so. Because if that annoyed me, then it wasn't by chance. 4 calls on Saturday, say in the afternoon and evening. Sunday, no calls. Monday, no calls. So what do you think happened? Yeah, afternoon and evening again, and then it's 4 calls, 4 calls, 4 calls. Boom, 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 boom. That's to give you that false sense of security and then really hit you with it. It's going to affect it. It's going to affect you. It's I call it psychological warfare. That's what they're doing. They're trying to beat you down in order to try to, what? I'm going to call them up and say, look, stop the calls. I'll make arrangements to pay, and that's it. No, that's what they want. Then it's like success, huh? Well, they're not going to get it, you know, from me. Because I can take the calls if I have to. You know, what were they calling? What made them decide to set it up to call me more afternoon and evening? Why is that? We're older? Figure you're going to be home at that time of day? Is that the reason for it? There's got to be reasons for all this stuff. But they do. It's all part of trying to get their money. You know, they want to get it. So they're going to get it one way or another. See how they do it? So the longer you don't pay them, well, look, late fees. So now you owe more. That means this went from $1,200 to almost $1,500 now. So that means if it went to collection, well, I don't think this can go to collection. It can't. Because the card holder is deceased, so it has to be uncollectible. So it can be written off. So they can take it off their income, so they'll pay less taxes. I mean, I don't think they're allowed to sell it in a bundle to a debt collector. They might, because they're so unethical. Debt collector will buy all these debts pennies on the dollar. And what do? They try to collect them. They don't care if they're past the statute of limitations. They don't care if the person's deceased. They don't care. If they're written off. They don't care nothing. All these debts, like money for these debt collectors. So that would be like a zombie debt. They're breathing life back into these debts. Not just because a person passed away, but because if the debts are uncollectible, if they're past the statute of limitations and they're still trying to collect it, well, that's a zombie debt. You got to be real careful dealing with these debt collectors, because they got all these tactics and they're good at it. They're convincing and all. They could talk you into paying. It's something you might not even know. You get older and all, and the debt has been floating around. You might even think you really owed it. Who knows? They can make all kind of deals. I know one. I mentioned it in one of the videos that they send out, the debt collector. Say it's, I'm just going to use an example. Say it's $500 you owe. We can make an arrangement, maybe it's past the statute of limitations. Maybe it's not. So you want to hear the deal they give? A lot of them did it. They're going to give you that $500. They'll put it on a credit card. And you'll pay every month, the minimum payment. But they give you $100 extra. So you'll owe them $600 now, right? And you'll pay the minimum payment, but you'll still have available credit. So as long as you keep it under $600, you can use the card. Remember, they're going to keep making money on it. Remember, now you owe them the money. Well, it's not a bad deal, really, if you wanted to try to pay it. It's not a bad deal. But just think about that. A debt that they didn't give you the money to begin with. And they might have got it for pennies on the dollar. Now they're putting it on a credit card. Now you're going to owe them because you're going to start the clock running again. Now you made it worse for yourself. Because the statute of limitations, it's important to know that. I mean, I know in Pennsylvania it's 4 years. I know that for sure. So all the debts I didn't pay back there when Marie passed away, it's in my name. Well, in less than 4 years from now, they're all going to be legally forgiven. That means nobody could collect it, nobody can do nothing. But you have to know that. If you don't know that, then they can get away with it. That's what they depend on. People don't know that. So you need to know what state, that you're in, and what the state that you're in, what's the statute of limitations. It could be 3 years, I don't know, it could be 7. It's on the credit report for 7 years. So it's important to know that. So from now, if I'm in my 70s, do I want to wait to try to get, start credit again? I don't think so. This is too much right now that I'm going through. Too much harassment with this Merrick bank, and I didn't think I'd be doing. I knew at the time. I had the feeling that, they're gonna call, because all the other accounts did. They all start that call in and all. I have one that call 10 times a day, but they get away with it. If you don't go after them, they're getting away with it. The litigation. That stops them. Again, I'm going to say the lawyer that I've been using, he's top notch. I'm telling you, he's helped me. And you're getting it from a person who's experienced. I already had dealings with him. He's got the call stopped. He's got all kind of settlements and all. And that's why I say you should take a chance and try to get a lawyer. Don't put up with it. So his name is Paul Mankin, Mankin. Toll-free number 800-219-3577. That's 800-219-3577. So keep all this, what I said, in mind. If you're going to stay out there, I know I withstood this calls. So I waited in November of 2019. I get a couple of weeks just to see what's going on. Get the phone log ready, then I contacted the lawyer. I found him on the internet. So I was looking up one of the banks. That's how I got him. But I'm making it easy for you. I'm giving you his information, so you can just go right ahead and contact him. Now, if he's not there, remember there's a time difference. He's in California. There's going to be, the number is going to be either he's got a secretary, or one of the other lawyers will answer. He's liable to answer. It all depends. You can always leave a message. I'm going to have his email also, in the description. I'll have all that. It's important that you listen to this and read the description and all. I appreciate it. If I think I could, every time I post one of these videos, if I could just get one person, it'd be worth it. This is the 15th one already. I don't believe it, that I did that many already. In a short period, I did, like I said, more than that. Because when this started in January, I really got ticked off. Right in the beginning of January, I started with, with these videos. But I started this mostly in this month with this, Invisible Man versus Merrick Bank and the robot. I just like the gimmick, I wanted to get attention, and that's why I did it. It looks pretty good. Oh yeah, I think it was a couple days ago, I shared something on Twitter. I shared the Invisible Man, the movie. It's a long one too. It's like 2.5 hours. I put it on there, so you can, it's got the link, and you can look at it. If you're interested, there's a movie like I put in there. It was free to view, so why not view? And I looked at it myself. I started looking at it. No big actors or nothing. It's a British film. The story is really good. When you look at it and see it like that, and it shows, he's trying to find a cure, to become visible. And at the end, he gets beat up or something and dies, and then his body comes back. So he becomes visible, but you have to die to become visible. So it's pretty good. I mean, H.G. Wells did it, It's good. He did other movies too. Not movies, but stories. So if you have a chance, you'll see it. You can I got it off of YouTube. I just looked and said, "Well, you mean to tell me they're not charging? Nowadays, they're charging it for these movies, There was no charge, so I figured, well, I'll just share it there, and you can look at it if you want. Since I'm bringing all this attention to the Invisible Man now. So I think I covered pretty much everything. Back again, one more thing. Keep saying that, one more thing. Now you contact this lawyer, and he contacts the bank, and he puts litigation and stops the calls. Even if he didn't, he can still stop the calls. Because it doesn't say anything about litigation per se. In other words, if he calls them and he represents you and he gives them the information, they're going to have to. After 45 days, like it says, if you don't hear from them, then they can start up again, whatever they're doing, trying to collect the money. So that's the pointers I'm giving you, already, so that you can, do something. Maybe like I said, I say it before, I say it all the time, that you're getting these calls, and maybe you've got a lot of stuff going on, and you think that you can't do anything because this bank is so big, and you owe them money, and it costs money for a lawyer, and it'd be more than what you owe them. No, you're wrong. I gave you the lawyer. There's plenty of them. But I know he's really good, so. Now, with all that I just said, I hope, again, that's really helping somebody out there. I mean, I know in a sense, because when I post these different videos, that I'm doing, all these sequels, well, I can tell by the views. Sometimes I get more views than others. It depends. But I can tell, could be some of the same people that are familiar with it, what I'm doing here with these harassing phone calls, and may be curious. Maybe they don't have any problems with credit. You never know when it could happen to you. So if it does, you're like, you're going to be ahead of the game, You can stop them. You still owe the debt no matter what. But I don't think you want to put up with it. I know I wouldn't, especially if you have a family and all. I think you want that phone ringing like that. And the way they do it. I came back here, I think it was in November, getting the calls, and I came in, and there's no calls. I looked at the caller ID. I said I was gone most of the day. And then I got comfortable. I sat down, the phone rang. I said, what, did somebody follow me? Wait till I get in here and then ring the phone? So that's what it seems like. You get that feeling like that because of the way they call, the way there's times that they call. And it is meant to harass, to annoy. It's called annoying. Really annoying phone calls because it just keeps ringing. And they do it, nobody's there. Nobody's there. The phone rings, the answer machine picks it up, dead air. Not because that robot keeps dialing those numbers. So that's part of the problem with these calls. They call like that, and you don't talk to nobody, but you can call them. Now, I received over 60 calls in November 2019, and now over 80 calls in January 2020. You mean that's allowed? But not one person, live person, dialed those calls. It's all that auto dialer. Look at that, robot. That's what this is all about. I know I allude to other things here, but I just want to make sure that, that I can make my point, If you're having any problems, call that attorney that I gave you. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and have a great day.